Hi, it's Brian again. Today we're going to continue our conversation about the quick deployment paracord bracelets. Last time we talked about the double strand paracord bracelet, showed y'all how to make those. Today we're going to be making a triple strand paracord bracelet. It's made exactly like the double strand, except that it is wider, which enables you to carry more paracord. I'm going to make a shortened version of this. I'm not going to make a full size version that fits my wrist just because that would take way too long. I don't want to shoot another full length construction video just because you've already seen how to do all of the weaving and everything, and I don't want y'all to have to sit through all that again. Now, just like the regular bracelet, you start off with the Ashley stopper knot, and once again I will put a link to a walkthrough for that knot in the details of this video. Now, if you were making this to fit your wrist, you would wrap it around, loop it around the knot, just like that, hold that in place, and that is how you would start your length. You would come down, just like the other bracelet, pinch that there, and fold it over. That's how you would form the length of your bracelet. Now, since I'm not making a full length one, I'm just going to make a little shortened version. We'll just make our first bite here. We'll pinch it down there, come up, make our second bite, come down, pinch that over, come up, make our third bite, just like this. Now, since you're making 3 bites, you want to be really careful to try to make sure your lengths are all the same. If you don't, it's going to make it difficult to finish on the end. Alright, so now we've got 3 bites across the top. Adjust those, get them the same length. 2 loops at the bottom, our knotted end, and our working end, just like our last bracelet. So we're going to come down to the end with the knot. I'm going to grab it like this. Now, with the other bracelet, we started weaving from here. With these 3 loops, or the 2 loops and the 2 ends here, you really need to tie it off before you start working on it. Otherwise, this gets really difficult to handle and hang on to. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and loop the cordage around, just like this. I grab it right there, and then pull it through, just making a half hitch around those loops. Snug all that up, just like that. That's what you should have. And then from here, you're going to take your cordage across. So you're crossing over. You've got your half hitch here. You're going to cross over that piece there, and that'll lock it in place. And that is where you start your weave. You're going to go around there. You're going to go behind that middle piece. And then around here. Back behind. Over. Around, just like that. It works exactly the same way as the other bracelet, except you have one more column to weave around. Instead of just making a figure 8 like you did on the last one, you're having to make, I guess it's almost like a double figure 8. Now, when you're making this with the 3-column bracelet, don't pull these too tight. If you pull these too tight, first off, you're going to significantly reduce the amount of cordage you're going to get in the bracelet. With the 2-column bracelet, a good tight weave, a good tight bracelet, it works out for you. When you add these 3 columns, if you pull it really tight and compress it, you're not going to get much more cordage than you got in the 2-column bracelet. Also, and I found this out the hard way, if you pull these too tight, you won't actually be able to pull this loop out at the end and collapse your bracelet. So you want to keep them, fairly snug and uniform, just so that your bracelet is consistent. But you don't have to crank down on them quite so much. Also, if you are making a 2-strand bracelet and you want more cordage, you can loosen up your weave a little bit. I don't like the way they look as much when you do that way. They aren't as stiff, but you can get more cordage on the bracelet that way. So we're just going to continue on the same way we've been doing this. See, it's exactly the same as the last method that we did. It's quick, it's easy. And it really, especially once you get used to making these, they really do go very quickly. Now, as far as cordage, the like feet of cord per inch of bracelet goes, for every inch of bracelet you're going to get 6 inches of cord just from these inner strands. Obviously you've got 6 inner strands and you've got 1 inch, so you've got 6 inches of cordage there. Other than that, it takes about 1.5 feet if you're doing it nice and loose. It takes about 1.5 feet of cord to do 1 inch of length of this bracelet. So you're looking at about 2 feet of rope per inch. Now those are approximates that I'm giving you right there. I will, like I did on the last one, once I finish this up, I will measure the bracelet and I will measure the amount of cord that I got out of the bracelet. That way you can have an exact number as far as how many feet of cord you're going to get. Now, you see I've gotten here to the end. I've got this big giant loop and 2 smaller loops. That's not what I want. Fortunately, since it's loose, I can adjust that. You saw me pull that one out. If I take this knot here and tug on it a little bit, I should be able to adjust this one and get it back into tolerance of the rest of them. A little bit more. Alright, so now all my loops are approximately the same. So I'm going to finish off this pattern here. And now that I've gotten to this point, I'm going to do the exact same thing I did on my last bracelet. I take those loops, except now I've got 3 of them. Pass the paracord through the loops. Pull that through, pull that tight. That locks off the end of the bracelet. And then we'll pull it back through all 3 of those again. And once we get it through all those, that center loop's a little bit smaller than the other 2. Once we get it through all of those, we'll be able to adjust the loop size to match our knot on the other end. Alright. So there we got that. Put the knot through, pull the loop tight, and then we'll tie the overhand knot here. Now I've got this huge piece of cord here. If I put this on my wrist and it's too big, all I have to do is move that knot further up the cord to shrink it in, and that'll make it fit better. I've also got a little bit of cord here on the tip. If it's too small, I've got 1/2 inch to play with. I can move the knot out. I can make it a little bit bigger. That's one of the joys of this design, is you do have that adjustability on the length of the bracelet. Alright, I'm not going to bother tying the knot on this, because it's just like the other one. You know how that looks. So what we'll do here, we'll pop that loose, grab a pin here. Actually, no, I don't need to do that. I'll just pull them through, and then I'll tie a knot in the cord where the end was, so that I can measure the length. Alright, so that is how much length of paracord I used. And then it breaks down just like my other one. Now, The only thing that's different on this one versus the 2-strand is that you will have an overhand knot in the middle of your rope. And that's because we had to half hitch around the end to hold the strands together. Other than that, it's one continuous strand of paracord. So that's all for the 3-strand paracord. The next up will be the 4-strand. I'll actually be making that on the steel shackle. I'll show you a variation of the 4-strand that you can do with the knot and the loop. It's a little bit more challenging, but you can do it. So that'll be on the next video. And I appreciate all of y'all watching, and I will talk to you later.